students, in last lecture we have completed the fate of germ layers, means how the different body organs or different body parts are developed from these three germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. And there are different body organs which are derived from these three germ layers. Now in today's lecture we are going to see the further event which is occurring during this human reproduction, that is the pregnancy, or it is also called as a gestation. Means after gametogenesis we have seen the fertilization. After fertilization we have seen how this embryo is developed in the uterus, and from this embryology one very much important event, that is pregnancy, which is carried in the human female body, that we have to study in this lecture. So here the pregnancy or gestation, the definition is given: the condition of carrying one or more embryos in the uterus, it is called as a pregnancy or gestation. Means in uterus either there is only one embryo, or sometimes there may be 2 or 3 embryos which are grown in the uterus, and that condition of the growing of the embryo in the uterus, that condition is called as a pregnancy, or it is also called as a gestation. And on an average this pregnancy period or gestation period, it is considered as about 9 months. That means it is in days we have to calculate here. This human female pregnancy lasts for average 266 days from the fertilization day, or we can call it as a 280 days, that is 266 plus 14, that is from last menstrual cycle. हा प्रेग्नन्सीचा पिरियड कसा इथं मोजला जातो, तर ॲव्हरेजली 266 डेज फ्रॉम द फर्टिलायझेशन डेट. फर्टिलायझेशन झाल्यापासून 266 दिवसापर्यंतचा जो कालावधी आहे त्याला प्रेग्नन्सी पिरियड किंवा जेस्टेशन पिरियड म्हटलं जातं. और 280 डेज, that is 266 plus 14, as the day of ovulation is 14th day, and therefore 266 plus 14, this is called as a pregnancy period or gestation period from the last menstrual cycle, LMC. That is LMC means last menstrual cycle. Last menstrual cycle पासून जर मोजायचा असेल तर तो प्रेग्नन्सी पिरियड किंवा जेस्टेशन पिरियड हा कसा कॅल्क्युलेट केला जातो, तर 280 डेज 280 दिवस, आणि जर फर्टिलायझेशन डेट पासून जर कॅल्क्युलेट केला तर तो किती असतो 266 दिवस. सो यू हॅव टू रिमेंबर बोथ दीज व्हॅल्यूज. That is from fertilization date it is calculated about 266 days, and from last menstrual cycle it is calculated about 280 days. Okay, now here this pregnancy or gestation, it is divided into 3 trimesters of 3 months. 3 महिन्याचा एक ग्रुप केलेला आहे आणि असे 3 ट्रायमिस्टर आपल्याला इथे बघायला मिळतात. सो हियर the human pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters of about 3 months. First trimester, second trimester and third trimester. First trimester, that is from fertilization to 12th week. From fertilization up to 12th week of development, that period it is about 3 months and it is considered as the first trimester. Then from 13th week up to the 26th week, that is also about 3 months period, and it is considered as the second trimester. And from 27th week up to the parturition or up to the delivery, that period it is also about 3 months and it is considered as third trimester. जे ह्या प्रेग्नन्सी पिरियडचे असे 3 महिन्याचे 3 भाग केलेले आहेत. पहिल्या भागामध्ये फर्टिलायझेशन झाल्यापासून 12th वीक पर्यंतचा कालावधी येतो, त्यानंतर 13व्या आठवड्यापासून 26वा आठवडा आणि त्याच्यानंतर 27व्या आठवड्यापासून डिलिव्हरी होईपर्यंतचा जो पिरियड आहे, असे हे 3 ट्रायमिस्टर आपल्याला बघायला मिळतात. सो हियर वी हॅव टू स्टडी विच डेव्हलपमेंटल चेंजेस आर ऑकरिंग इन द युटेरस and in the embryo that during all these trimester. So here the first trimester, which is about 3 months from fertilization up to the 12th week of the pregnancy, here the most radical changes are occurring in the body of the female and in the embryo embryo also. So here in this period most radical changes are taking place in both mother and the embryo in the body. Radical changes means very fast and rapid changes are taking place in the mother's body as well as in the embryo, and therefore these rapid or fast changes which are taking place are called as here radical changes. And here during first 2 to 4 weeks of development, embryo gets nourished by the endometrium. So during the developmental changes, during the first 2 to 4 weeks of this development of the embryo, that embryo is getting nourished with the help of the endometrial wall of the uterus. म्हणजे पहिल्या 2 ते 4 आठवड्यापर्यंत त्या एम्ब्रियोला जे खाद्य दिले जाते ते खाद्य कोण देत असतं, तर युटेरस मधली आतली जे एंडोमेट्रियल वॉल आहे, दॅट एंडोमेट्रियम इज नरिशिंग द एम्ब्रियो during the first 2 to 4 weeks of development. After that, what happens, we have to see organogenesis and development of body organs occurs in this first trimester. During these developmental stages, during the first trimester, the different organs are formed. That process is called as organogenesis, and these organs are developed further, and these processes are occurring during this first trimester. What happens, you see here, about 8 weeks of the development, all the major structures are formed in rudimentary form, and embryo is called as a fetus. It is about 5 cm long. म्हणजे ज्यावेळेला गर्भ 2 आठवड्याचा होतो, 2 महिन्याचा होतो, 8 weeks म्हणलेला आहे. So in these 8 weeks, all the body organs, all the body structures are formed in the rudimentary form. Rudimentary म्हणजे अतिशय छोट्या स्वरूपामध्ये, अतिशय छोट्या आकाराचे सगळे बॉडी ऑर्गनचे स्ट्रक्चर्स इथं तयार झालेले बघायला मिळतात. अँड ॲट दिस स्टेज दॅट एम्ब्रियो इज कॉल्ड ॲज अ फिटस. During the development of all the body organs and all the body structures in the rudimentary form, then that embryo is called as a fetus, and it is about 5 cm long. त्याची जर लांबी बघितली आपण 2 महिन्यानंतर त्या गर्भाची, तर तो गर्भ किती सेंटीमीटरचा झालेला आपल्याला बघायला मिळतो, तर 5 cm long. So during this first trimester, different developmental changes are occurring here. In mother, placenta grows, uterus becomes larger, and ovulation and menstrual cycle stops. So during this first trimester, what happens, there is development of placenta. Placenta is the temporary organic connection. It is developed during this pregnancy period in between mother and fetus. फक्त प्रेग्नन्सीच्या काळामध्ये एक टेम्पररी ऑर्गन तयार झालेला असतो, जो आई आणि त्या बाळाच्या मध्ये देवाणघेवाणीचं काम करतो, ट्रान्सपोर्टेशनचं काम करतो. त्या ऑर्गनला इथे काय म्हटलं जातं, प्लासेंटा म्हटलं जातं. दॅट प्लासेंटा इज फॉर्म्ड ड्युरिंग दिस फर्स्ट ट्रायमिस्टर, अँड हिअर द साइज ऑफ युटेरस इज ऑल्सो somewhat increasing, and ovulation and menstrual cycle is getting stopped. So during this first trimester, ovulation is completely stopped and menstrual cycle is completely stopped because there is no secretion of FSH in the female body. Why there is no secretion of FSH? Because there is secretion of progesterone by the corpus luteum, as we have seen in the structure of ovary or the female reproductive system. When there is fertilization is taking place, that empty graphene follicle is converted into corpus luteum, and that corpus luteum is responsible for secretion of progesterone, which is maintaining the pregnancy. And due to high progesterone level, there is low secretion of FSH and LH, and therefore there is no follicular development in the ovary takes place. And due to no very low FSH, or where there is no secretion of FSH or LH, there is no development of the follicles, and there is no ovulation, and therefore the menstrual cycle and ovulation process is stopped, and placenta is shows growing condition at this first trimester. Then arms, hands, fingers, feet, toes are formed. During this first trimester, all the body organs like here hands, arms, fingers, toes, म्हणजे आपले हात असतील, हाताचा तळवा आहे, हाताची बोटं आहेत, पायाची बोटं आहेत, हे सगळे स्ट्रक्चर्स तिथे तयार झालेले आपल्याला बघायला मिळतात. Then fetus can open and close the mouth and feast. During this first trimester, the fetus म्हणजे ते गर्भाशयामध्ये वाढणारे जे बाळ आहे त्याला fetus म्हणलेलं आहे. That fetus is able to open and close the mouth. तोंडाची उघडझाप ते करू शकतं. And they are also able to open and close the fist. Fist म्हणजे ही हाताची मूठ जी आहे ती अशी झाकणे आणि उघडणे याला फिस्ट म्हणलं जातं. ही म्हणजे फिस्ट. याची उघडझाप करण्याची क्षमता त्या बाळामध्ये इथे तयार झालेली आपल्याला बघायला मिळते. देन the central nervous system is fully formed and working of excretory and circulatory system is started. So at this first trimester, all the structures of the central nervous system, that is the brain and spinal cord, are fully formed, and the functioning of the excretory system and circulatory system is also started at this first trimester period. Then movement of fetus begin, but mother cannot feel it. At this first trimester, the fetus can show movement, but mother cannot feel it. म्हणजे आईला त्या हालचाली जाणवत नाही. पहिल्या 3 महिन्यामध्ये सुद्धा बाळाची हालचाल होत असते, पण ती आईला जाणवत नाही. हे इथे लक्षात ठेवायचं आहे. And heartbeat can be heard from 6th week. The first organ which is developed in the embryo, that is the heart, and that heartbeats, heart movements can be heard around the 6th week of the development. And here at the end of this first trimester, fetus is about 7 to 10 centimeter long. So at this first trimester, the end of the trimester, the fetus is showing about 7 to 10 centimeter length. Then here side by side the changes are occurring also in the mother body. As we have seen, there are rapid and different developmental changes are occurring in the embryo. That is, there is formation of all the body structures, all the body organs in the rudimentary form, and there are movement of the mouth and the fist, and the central nervous system, excretory system, then recirculatory system is started. All these structures are formed in the embryo. Side by side here, the different changes which are occurring in the mother body also. What are those changes here? In mother, the different radical changes or the rapid changes are occurring here. What happens? High levels of progesterone is secreted in the mother's body. At this stage, the high secretion of the progesterone is taking place in the mother's body, and here the maternal part of the placenta grows and the uterus becomes larger. In the uterus, the maternal part of the placenta, because the placenta, that tissue, that is temporary organ which is formed during this pregnancy, it is formed between 2 tissues. Some part is the fetal tissue, that means that embryonal tissue, and some part is the mother tissue, that is maternal tissue. So both these tissues are combined together to form the placenta. So at this stage, the maternal part of the placenta is showing growth, and here in this period the mother experiences morning sickness, and that is nausea, vomiting, mood swing, etc. म्हणजे ह्या पहिल्या 3 महिन्यामध्ये मदरच्या बॉडीमध्ये खूप सारे चेंजेस झाल्यामुळं त्या मदरच्या बॉडीमध्ये आपल्याला मॉर्निंग सिकनेस बघायला मिळतो. म्हणजे सकाळी उठल्या उठल्या तिला उलटी आल्यासारखं, मळमळल्यासारखं, अस्वस्थ झाल्यासारखं असा काही त्रास फिमेल बॉडीमध्ये होऊ शकतो. अँड दॅट इज कॉल्ड एज अ मॉर्निंग सिकनेस, वेअर इट शोज नॉसिया, वॉमिटिंग ऑर मूड स्विंग. म्हणजे काही खाण्याची इच्छा होत नाही, करण्याची इच्छा होत नाही, कंटाळ्यासारखं होतं, वॉमिटिंग आल्यासारखं होतं. सो ऑल दीज चेंजेस आर टेकिंग प्लेस इन दी मदर्स बॉडी ड्युरिंग दिस फर्स्ट ट्रायमिस्टर. ओके, नाउ व्हॉट हॅपन्स ड्युरिंग दी सेकंड ट्रायमिस्टर, दॅट वी हॅव टू see here. The second trimester, it is from 13th week to 26th week of the development. 13व्या आठवड्यापासून 26व्या आठवड्यापर्यंतचा जो कालावधी आहे, that is called as the second trimester, where here the fetus becomes very active and it grows about 30 centimeter in length. As we have seen, the 7 to 10 centimeter fetus is developed in first trimester. And here in the second trimester, the fetus becomes very active and it shows very fast growth, and it is about 30 centimeter length, which is developed up to the second trimester. So development of brain begins at this stage, and here the hormone levels stabilize and HCG declines, corpus luteum is getting degenerated and placenta completely take over the secretion of the progesterone which maintains the pregnancy. So here during this second trimester what happens, the level of HCG means human chorionic gonadotropin, that is secreted after the fertilization in the female body, but up to the 3 months this HCG is secreted in the female body for the maintenance of corpus luteum. But after the completion of 3 months the placenta is developed in the body of the in between the fetus and mother's uterus. So here the HCG secretion is going on decreasing, and due to the HCG secretion is decreasing, the corpus luteum is getting degenerated. म्हणजे इथं काय होतं बघा, 3 महिने पूर्ण झाल्यानंतर HCG सिक्रेशन थांबवलं जातं आणि त्याच्यानंतर त्यामुळे कॉर्पस ल्युटियम काय होतो, डिजनरेट होतो. कारण कॉर्पस ल्युटियमच्या मेंटेनन्सचं काम कुणाकडे असतं, ह्या HCGकडे असतं. HCG डिक्लाइन झाल्यामुळं कॉर्पस ल्युटियम जो आहे तो डिजनरेट होतो आणि मग त्यावेळेला प्रोजेस्टेरॉनचं सिक्रेशन कोण करतं, तर तोपर्यंत प्लासेंटा फुल्ली तयार झालेला असतो अँड दॅट प्लासेंटा इज टेकिंग ओव्हर दी फंक्शन ऑफ सिक्रेशन ऑफ प्रोजेस्टेरॉन. आणि त्याच्यानंतर 4थ्या महिन्यापासून जर आपण बघितलं तर प्लासेंटा इज सिक्रेटिंग progesterone and it is maintaining the pregnancy. That we have to remember here. Now the baby's movements can be easily felt by mother. During the second trimester the movement of the fetus can be felt by the mother. म्हणजे या दुसऱ्या 6 महिन्यात 3 महिन्याचा जो कालावधी आहे दुसरा ट्रायमिस्टर, त्याच्यामध्ये बाळाची मूवमेंट जी आहे, बाळाची जी हालचाल आहे ती आईला जाणवू शकते इथं. अँड हिअर हेड हॅज हेअर, आयब्रोज अँड आयलॅशेस अपीयर, पिनी आर सेपरेट. जे डेव्हलपमेंटल चेंजेस फिटसमध्ये होतात त्यावेळेला देर इज हेअर ग्रोथ ऑन द हेड रिजन, द डेव्हलपमेंट ऑफ आयब्रोज अँड डेव्हलपमेंट ऑफ आयलॅशेस. म्हणजे भुवया तयार होतात, पापण्या तयार होतात, डोक्यावरती केस यायला सुरुवात होते. हे सगळे डेव्हलपमेंटल चेंजेस कुठे घडतात, फिटसच्या बॉडीमध्ये आपल्याला झालेले बघायला मिळतात. अँड हिअर दी थर्ड ट्रायमिस्टर we have to study, which is from 27th week up to the parturition, last trimester of this pregnancy. शेवटचा 3 महिन्याचा कालावधी आहे. Here the fetus grows up to 50 centimeter long and it is showing weight up to 3 to 4 kg. शेवटच्या ट्रायमिस्टर मध्ये the fetus is showing 50 centimeter length and it shows about 3 to 4 kilogram in weight. एवढं वजन आपल्याला त्या बाळाचं बघायला मिळतं. And by the end of these 9 months, fetus is fully developed and it is ready for delivery. At the end of this pregnancy period or the gestation period, the baby is fully formed and it is ready for delivery. All the body structures, all the body organs, all the body systems are very well developed and it is showing full development and ready for delivery. So all these different changes which are taking place during this trimester we have seen from NCRT. Some extra points are there related to this trimester or this pregnancy period or the gestation period, from which the questions are asked in the NEET exam. So here this is the pregnancy or gestation period for the NEET point of view. First, here after 1 month embryo's heart is formed. So here after 1 month of development of the embryo, heart is formed, that we have to remember here. Then by the end of 2nd month fetus develops limbs and digits. दुसऱ्या महिन्याची ज्या 2 महिने ज्या वेळेला पूर्ण होतात त्यावेळेला दुसऱ्या महिन्याच्या वेळेला लिम्स आणि डिजिट्स म्हणजे हात पाय तयार होतात आणि हाताची आणि पायाची बोटं तयार होतात हे सांगितलेलं आहे. बाय द एंड ऑफ 12 weeks फर्स्ट ट्रायमिस्टर 3 महिने पूर्ण झाल्यानंतर मेजर ऑर्गन सिस्टीम्स आर फॉर्म्ड, दॅट इज लिम्स, एक्सटर्नल जेनेटल ऑर्गन्स आर वेल डेव्हलप्ड. 3 महिने पूर्ण झालेले असतात गर्भाला, त्यावेळेला पूर्ण त्याचं बॉडी ऑर्गन्स तयार झालेले असतात. त्याच्यामध्ये लिम्ब सांगितलेले आहेत, हात आणि पाय, आणि एक्सटर्नल जेनेटल ऑर्गन्स ॲज वी हॅव सीन in the male and in the female different genital organs are present and all these genital organs are formed at the end of the first trimester. Then the first movement of the fetus and appearance of hair on head are observed during 5th month. 5व्या महिन्यामध्ये इथं आपल्याला काय बघायला मिळते, movement of fetus, बाळाची जी हालचाल आहे ती बघायला मिळते, and appearance of hairs on head, डोक्यावरची केस जी आपण म्हणतो जावड ते तयार व्हायला इथं सुरुवात झालेली असते 5व्या महिन्यामध्ये. and by the end of 24 weeks, that is second trimester, 6 महिने पूर्ण होतील त्यावेळेला body is covered with fine hair, eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. So at the end of 6 months, what happens, you see here, body is covered by the hair, पूर्ण शरीरावरती केस यायला सुरुवात होते and eyelids get separated and eyelashes are formed. जे ह्या ज्या पापण्या आहेत त्या दोन्ही पापण्या वेगळ्या होतात आणि पापण्यावरचे जे केस आहेत ते केस सुद्धा पूर्ण तयार झालेले आपल्याला बघायला मिळतात. सो ऑल दीज डिफरंट डेव्हलपमेंटल चेंजेस आर ऑकरिंग ड्युरिंग दिस प्रेग्नन्सी पिरियड और जेस्टेशन पिरियड. These points are from the NCERT and from that the questions may ask in the NEET exam, and therefore each and every point we have to remember for the NEET exam. So here from this point one diagram is here that we have to study. This is the 6-week embryo, this is the 6-week embryo, and this is the 3 months embryo. This is the uterus, and in uterus the embryo is developed, and this is the umbilical cord you have see here, and this is the placenta. This region is placenta. The placenta, how it is formed and what is the structure of placenta, that we have to study in the next lecture. Here only you can see in the uterus how this embryo is formed. This is the embryo about 6 weeks, and from the about the 3 months this embryo is developed at this condition. So here the different developmental changes which are occurring in the fetus in the uterus, that we have to see in this diagram. This is not given in the textbook. I am just showing you the different developmental changes of the fetus from this diagram. So from this pregnancy or gestation, one question is asked in 2010, that we have to see the first movement of the fetus and appearance of hairs on its head are usually observed during which month of pregnancy. The movement of fetus and hairs on the head are observed during which month of the pregnancy? Just we have seen the points from the NCERT. The answer is the 5th month. So the points which are discussed, we discussed in this lecture, that is from NCERT. Each and every point is very much important for the NEET exam, because such questions are asked from that point. So here in this lecture we have completed the what is mean by pregnancy, how much days this pregnancy is occurred, that is 266 days from the fertilization date or 280 days from the last menstrual cycle, and it is divided into 3 trimesters. First trimester, it is from fertilization up to 12th week, then second trimester from 13th week to 26th week, and the last trimester, third, that is from 27 to parturition. And all the different developmental changes which are occurring during this trimester, that we have completed in this lecture. So in the next lecture we have to study the structure of placenta, how that placenta is formed and what is the structure of that placenta, and the remaining points related to this pregnancy we will see in the next lecture. Till then, thank you.